Microphone's on. Oh, I'm flustered a wee bit, that's why I'm... how are you everybody? We all right? We doing well? It's no good having to work either side of these classes. Anyway, did I hit the record button? I did so. Right, okay, let's get on with it. Mobility number 42, I think it is. Today, we're going to be focusing on the posterior chain, okay? In the classes, in the circuit classes, we've been seeing the introduction of kettlebells, i.e. kettlebell swings. Posterior chain, very dominant exercise for the posterior chain. And when I say posterior chain, we're talking hamstrings, glutes, lower back, okay? Basically the big muscles that run up the back end of your body, but with lower back, glutes and hamstrings, those are the big engine muscles behind these movements, or they should be. If they're not working properly and they're not working effectively, there's a lot of negative things can happen. We could not be using anywhere near as much power as we might have in there that can be unlocked from doing what we're doing this morning, or your body's going to start compensating by doing crazy things. For example, you know, on the hip snap, if you're unable to lock your glutes out, as in snap through with the glutes, your glutes are weak, and you can't fully extend your hips, you're going to finish it off with overextending the back, okay? So things like that, for example, I won't go into too much detail with that because I'm well aware I always faff about with these introductions and I don't realise until I start editing and I'm like 7 minutes in and he's still not started. Anyway, so we're going to be working on the high glute first. We're going to get stuck into it and I'll explain exactly what we're doing. So the high glute, it's not the butt, it's the high glute itself. So from the rear, we're familiar with this one if you've been following along the crest of your pelvis. So when you start sitting on this thing, you'll feel that pelvis. We're running along the inside of the pelvis, okay, right at the very top of the glutes, and you're going to find a lot of nastiness in and around that area. So I've got the spine here. We don't roll the spine, do we? We stay well away from it. So I'm just going to start off in and around here, and I'm simply going to work from here all the way along the underside of my pelvis right out to here. Okay, everybody happy with that? So that's the area we're working on. We're going to be spending 5 minutes on each side. So remember, we hit a sore spot, we hit a problem area, we spend time on that area trying to make it better before we move on. So you might not get the full length done, okay? And that's why it's better if you pick it up in your own time. Now I've got my bench here. I'm going to elevate my feet because it's just better to. And I'll explain why. For those of you familiar, get stuck into it, get straight onto it. I'm going to talk you through it as if you've never done it before, okay? So I've got my feet elevated up on the bench, which is now going to push more weight down onto my pelvis, but also it's going to make my lower back nice and neutral, okay? So I'm going to whack that ball in right where I showed you, right off to the side of my spine, tailbone area, okay? And I'm just finding that, once I've got that right spot, because when you start pushing down on this, you start rolling about on it, you'll start to feel your pelvis, and remember, we're staying on the underside of the pelvis here. Now, a few points of safety, shall we call it. You're putting all your weight on a ball that's raised up. You're trying to imagine that your body, the muscle, the high glute area, is sinking and wrapping around that ball. What we don't want to happen is for that lower back to start overextending, as in we don't want to start, you can see, doing that. Okay, that's obviously me emphasizing it. So what we have to make sure we're doing is just keeping a wee bit of tension on the glutes to make sure this pelvis stays neutral and we don't start overextending it. So I'm on it, okay? I'm pretty sure for most people, you won't have to move very far before you find a bit of pain. You know the process by now, everybody, okay? I've found that problem area. I'm finding the dead center of that pain and discomfort, and I'm getting that ball jammed into it, okay? It's not a case of, oh, that's sore, I'll just go off to the side a wee bit because that'll be hellish if I move to the left or right. Get on the worst spot, okay? So straight away, I found one. Don't venture too far down the glutes. We're working on the high glute area. So again, you're just underneath that pelvis, okay? The crest of that pelvis, where you feel the bone running along your hips. We're working on the underside of that, okay? So I found the problem area. I'll remind you, what am I doing? I'm putting as much weight down on that as I can, pushing down hard, but then I'm with my muscles, I'm making sure that the area that I'm on is completely relaxed, okay? I'm not tensing up against it, and that's why it's important that you don't just find a sore spot and go hell for leather on it, because chances are it'll be too much for you to bear. Okay, now, I'm putting a lot of weight on here now. It's feeling pretty uncomfortable, but that's not enough, is it? So what else can I do? At the top of a glute bridge, when you're doing a glute bridge, I tell you to squeeze the butt. I want you to do that now, everybody, on that sore spot. Squeeze the butt relax, okay? Squeeze the butt, relax. And that is, we're contract and relax technique, okay? So hopefully you can feel that getting stuck in, especially when you contract and then go into the relaxation again, you really feel that ball hitting that spot that's painful, okay? And then you can literally do a little bit of a wiggle around on the area without going too far, so we're still staying on the dead center of the painful spot, okay? And then we go into probably what I would say is the worst one. So again, I'm holding the painful spot right on the dead center, and now we're going to use the smash and floss technique. So what am I doing here? Putting all my weight on it, I'm going to bring my knee up to my chest. Yep, you can pull it down. That's now opening up all that area. So make sure you're still keeping the ball on that spot. Yep, and then what we can do is straighten the leg back out, pull the knee in, straighten the leg back out, making sure we don't contract the glutes or bring the leg out to the side. And this is where you're quite limited depending on what you're using here. I've obviously got a bench, but there's no right or wrong. Look, so I'm just pumping the leg back and forward on this sore spot, trying my best to keep a straight face for the camera here, but this is pretty hellish, okay? Now, what do? I'm working along the crest of that pelvis, but I'm not moving, I'm still in the same original spot, and now I'm putting a lot of pressure on it. I'm thinking, you know what, that's nowhere near as sore as it was before, so I'm going to move along the crest of the pelvis a wee bit more, okay, until I find a new spot. And that's where, rather than just roll side to side, get your little circles in, try and break up and explore the area as you're going. And again, I'm pretty sure for most people, it won't be long before you find another area, okay? So we're going to spend another couple of minutes on this side, so please get the most out of it. And again, the purpose of having our feet raised is to allow us to push more weight down onto this ball, okay? So you shouldn't feel that your lower back is overextending, okay? We should be starting to get pretty familiar with these terms by now. Good, so we're pulling that knee up, out to the side. Oh my word. Okay, and again, it's pretty nasty. And all I'm doing here, just trying to break up that tissue and feed a little bit of slack. Remember, we've talked about this as well. I'm just going to keep repeating myself every mobility class until people start to remember everything, because I'm always firing a lot at you. So although a big part of today is on the hamstrings, remember, by working upstream and downstream, and even to the sides, depending on what area it is indeed, by working on those areas up and down from it, we can free up some slack, which will then feed into the hamstrings, okay? People are very quick to say they've got tight hamstrings, but in actual fact, it's not the actual hamstring itself that's tight. Could be, but quite often or not, it's not. So we get straight into this morning, or as straight into it as I could, without too much chat, but this is what we're working on today. So what this will improve is your ability to touch your toes, okay? Now, not just touch your toes, but to be able to keep your back nice and neutral while keeping your legs straight and pushing your hips back to touch your toes in that sense, if that makes sense. And I'll show you that in a second when we stand up to get into the next movement. Good. Last 30 seconds. So what we want you to do now is do exactly what I tell you not to do, and I want you to roll back and forward the full length of the area I told you to. You might have to get a hold of the ball, everybody. As you're rolling, that ball might start drifting out from away where we're trying to work. So if you need to get a grab of the ball, move it up, do so. Okay, and all I want you to do is just rock back and forward, working that full length. Why am I getting you to do that? Because for me there, I only got halfway. It's going to let you identify any other problem areas that you have to work on. And when you get to the outer side of the hip, lean onto it a bit more. Okay, twist your body onto it, making sure you're still keeping that spine nice and neutral. And again, that'll just let you know, right, that's a problem area, that's a problem area, and that's a problem area. So when I come back to this, that's the areas I've got to work on. Okay, simple, change legs, okay? Change legs, so you don't even need to go up. I'm just going to show you. So the ability, what we're working on here, everyone, is the ability to be able to Push your hips back, keep your legs fairly neutral, and keep that spine neutral. It's the ability to touch your toes doing this, okay? That's what we're working on this morning. So it's going to improve things like your deadlifts, your kettlebell swings, everything that's working, all these big posterior chain muscles, okay? That's what we're working on this morning. When I say touch your toes, I don't mean this, okay? We should all be able to touch our toes while maintaining a nice neutral spine by pushing the hips back and lengthening out these muscles. That's exactly what we're doing this morning. Get into the other side if you haven't done so already. Again, play around with your position. Make sure it feels good. Remember, we're starting just off to the side of the spine. We're trying to keep this pelvis nice and neutral, okay? And again, from the camera, because I'm sitting on the ball, you can't really see what I'm doing. That's why I'm trying my best to describe it. It's not rocket science, okay? It's really pretty simple, isn't it? You're just exploring for pain. As soon as you find a spot of pain, deal with it. Using the techniques that I've explained to you over and over again now. And again, these classes are focusing on target areas. Everybody's different. So if you're out and about, you're doing your exercise throughout the week and you start to feel a little bit of niggling or pain somewhere that feels tied up tight, horrible tissue, or something's a bit stiff, you know what to do, and some of you don't realise that, okay? Get your foam roller, get your ball and get jamming into the area that's sore or causing you discomfort, and use the techniques I've been explaining to you. First one is just simple, trying to get as much weight on it, trying to put as much pressure on that area as you can while keeping the muscle completely relaxed. That's difficult because when you're inflicting pain upon yourself, your brain's telling you, whoa, 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 what the hell are you doing here? So it's going to try and fight it, okay? It's going to try and contract the glutes for the movement we're doing just now. So you find that sore spot, you get on the dead center, as in where it's the worst, and you jam that ball into it. And you can contract, relax, and cycle through it, okay? Cycle through the process. Pressure on first until it's almost a little bit more bearable. Contract the muscle, relax the muscle. And then you can use the smash and floss by holding that spot and manipulating the joint, the leg, the limb, whatever it is we're holding on that area, just to help try. And all I want you to think about, we're just trying to grind the grain of the muscle. Okay, we're just trying to grind it up, break up all that tissue. And again, it usually comes at the cost of quite a lot of discomfort and pain. Now you could do this with your foam roller, but hopefully you're starting to realise when and where each one applies, okay? So this is allowing us to get stuck into all those nooks and crannies that the foam roller just wouldn't get into, okay? We could do it with a foam roller, maybe as part of a warm-up, to do the whole kind of glute area, get a lot of surface area done in a short space of time, but no way is the foam roller going to get stuck in the way this ball is, okay? So it's horrendous for most people. I can see the faces. Now remember, you're just following along the crest of the pelvis. Don't venture too far down into the glutes because we've done them last time. But by spending time on the high glutes, what am I doing? I'm freeing up slack, which is going to feed into my lower back. So if you're sitting here just now with a tight lower back, this is going to be benefiting you, okay? It's going to feed it further down into the glutes and further down into the hamstrings, okay? So although I'm working on a target area, which is the high glutes on this one, it's not just the high glutes getting the benefit. And again, hopefully you're learning that as well. You get an injury, chances are the area that's sore is going to need a lot of work, but a lot of people, you know, they pull their lower back out. What do? They spend all their time focusing on stretching their lower back. They spend all the time foam rolling their lower back. They don't bother to go up and down or to the side of it and work on those areas, even though those areas are probably the ones that are negatively affecting the lower back in the first place. Okay, so bear that in mind. It really is not complicated. Okay, same again, last 30 seconds, I want you just to go the full length. So all I'm going to do now is put all my weight on, rock side to side while working my way gradually along the border underneath the crest of the pelvis and just looking for little problem areas and making a mental note. Okay, oof, I'm going to have to go back, oof, that one's sore, oof, okay. Or you might be fairly supple, but again, I'm pretty confident for most people running along here, you're going to find a lot of problem areas, okay? Good. Right, when you're ready, jump off, stand up, get a little drink of water, everyone. Right, moving into the next movement. We're working on the actual hamstrings themselves, okay? Now, your hamstrings are tough to work on. Most people lie on a foam roller. They just roll back and forward. You'll never feel that you're actually getting stuck into there properly. So what I need you to do, if you're able to, is get something firm, a firm chair. Doesn't work if it's a big cushion. Okay, what we're going to be doing is sitting on this ball, so we need to make sure that ball isn't just sinking. So you can't do it on the sofa, you can't really do it in a dining room table. Well, you can do it in a dining room table if you like. You can't really do it in a cushioned chair here, okay? So we need something that's not got any give in it. Even this bench has maybe got a wee bit too much. So what I want you to do is, without pulling a moonie, we're going to see right at the bottom of the glutes, okay? Right at the bottom of your butt cheeks. That's the start area here, okay? We're starting in here, and I want you to work down towards just above your knee, okay? But again, for most people, you're not going to get that far in 5 minutes on each leg. So straight away, just sit on it, jam on it, get it in there, okay? And I'll explain why we're sat down. If you don't have the means of doing this and you've only got the floor, do the floor. The problem is your legs straight out the whole time, which makes it a wee bit harder to get right in the nooks and crannies, okay? It exposes our sciatic nerve as well, and we don't really want to be getting, we don't really want to be interfering with that. So if you start getting shooting pains, pins and needles in your toes or further down the leg, ease off the area you're in, okay? Because we don't really want to be jamming around on that sciatic nerve. Now, it's pretty simple. I'm sat on the ball just now, and I'll tell you I'm not sat in a sore spot. So I'm sat on it just now. The hamstrings completely, what's the word? What is the word? Brain fart. Completely sinking into it. What is it? Oh, whatever. Mute yourself. Right, okay. So it's completely sunk in, okay? My hamstrings are completely wrapped around it, so it's completely relaxed. So I'm able to push more weight down onto it with a bent leg. And now all I'm going to do is go side to, straight away, boom, okay? So again, don't go forward and backward, go side to side, okay? Imagine your hamstrings. We can picture our hamstrings, big, long muscle fibers. Imagine it's the strings on a guitar, okay? Imagine the ball, we're just trying to strum the strings on the guitar. So side to side, as soon as you feel something tender, boom, I'm sitting down on it, I'm pushing down on it, and this is where now, how do we do this? Pressure down as hard as you can on that area, and oof, that's horrible. We can contract and relax easily in this position. Okay, and then again, depending on, this is where we need something that's got reasonable height to it. This is the bit where we're about to take it up a notch, everybody, so get your sick bag out. I'm on my pressure spot just now. It's pretty nasty, but I can deal with it until I start to stretch that leg out. Suddenly, things become a whole new level of sick. Okay, now I'm pumping it back forward again, so I can keep that process going. Yep, pretty nasty, but it's effective. Now be aware when you're moving that leg back and forward that you're not actually contracting the hamstrings. We're trying to keep those muscles relaxed, so it should be the quads on top, lifting that leg out. And again, just always make sure, when you start moving around on it, just always make sure you're actually on ground zero of the pain, if that makes sense, because it's quite easy once you start moving around that ball just slides off to the side and you think, this is getting better. But in actual fact, it's taken a lot of concentration this morning, I won't lie to you, to not show my pain face. So for a lot of us, we can lie on a foam roller, like I say, on the floor with a straight leg, and you think, my hamstrings are nice and supple, there's no pain. Yay, until now. So again, worst case scenario, you can do this on the floor. So if you just feel that, the only chair I've got is too spongy, it's not got enough, it's got too much give in it, then do it on the floor. In an ideal world, this bench would be a wee bit higher so that my leg was dangling. If you're on a high enough surface that the leg's completely dangling, you're going to get more weight on this, and it's going to allow you a full range of doing this. Okay, so again, we're working on one area that's causing us bother and pain.
and I'm not moving off of it until I feel a good noticeable improvement. And what is the improvement? How do we notice the improvement? As in, you can put more weight on it and it's not as painful as it was when you started, okay? So again, there's no right or wrong as to how you move your leg. Back and forward, even try lifting the toes, okay? You can point the toes towards you, point them away, and that's gonna help things. Got about 3 different cameras going on here, so if you feel like I'm looking at you with a squint, that's why. I'm just trying to spread the love between the 3 lenses, right? But again, it's pretty obvious. All you're doing is sitting watching me. I could pretend I'm sitting on a ball and just sit here chilling out, planning tomorrow's boot camp. But the ball's in there, rest assured. And again, if you start to feel, yep, that's all right, start working down your leg, but instead of going forward and backward to go down, go side to side, everybody. Okay, feel yourself running along all those muscles. And again, obviously when you're rolling around on it, you're gonna have to get your hand in there and grab the ball and move it again to reset the position of it. Otherwise you're gonna end up the ball's not in a good position. So you may be able to get your adductors. So this is where, for me personally, I get a lot of pain. After I do squats, it's always in at the adductors for me that take ages to recover. They're always horrendous. They're always sore for about a week, okay? So you can get stuck into them for this angle, right in at the groin, or you can go the other way, okay? Lean out a bit more and get stuck into the IT band area. Bear in mind, everybody, on these big muscle groups, especially around into that IT band area, you need to be putting a hell of a lot of pressure down on that ball to get something from it, okay? You're gonna find a lot of pain in these areas, a lot of pain, quite a high level of pain. And it's quite easy just to, whoa, that's not very nice. You really have to get as much weight and put as much pressure on there as you possibly can. So again, find your pressure spot. The hamstrings, it's too big an area. Okay, so remember at the start, I showed you we were working from just under the butt cheek down towards the knee. Most of us are probably nowhere near the knee. For me personally, I'm not even halfway down the hamstring yet, okay? Because for most people, and again, most people probably doing this class just now, even on the recorded version, you've probably never done this in your life, okay? So as a result, you're gonna find a lot of problem areas. So again, if you are doing it on the ground with that straight leg, it's not the end of the world. You're still doing it, you're still gonna get a lot from it. It's just make sure that you're completely relaxed onto it, okay? And if you're able to, try it on a wall, try it on a bench, try it on a coffee table whenever you get that chance to do so. So again, with these mobility classes, I'd like to think that most of these are listening rather than just watching, because all you're doing is watching me working on my problem areas. You should be working on your own. So by me working on mine and describing to you what I'm doing, hopefully that's helping you. Okay, and hopefully you're getting plenty of problem areas. If you're finding that there's absolutely nothing, it's not that that's wrong, but chances are for most people, you're maybe just not putting enough weight on that ball, okay? Maybe you're not quite exploring it as well as you could. Remember, if there's an area that's painful, find the worst part of it, because it's so easy to wince and go, oh. But you know now, if you're gonna spend 45 minutes of your life doing a mobility class, to get the most out of it, you really need to be pushing it to the point where it's so uncomfortable. Yes, yes, I've seen some pain faces. Okay, but remember, we keep those pain faces relaxed. We don't want to always just associate this with mobility work, because we're always trying to encourage you. That's why I'm talking the way I'm talking, slow, try to take my mind off it. And again, when you're watching me, you know, if somebody was to watch this and not actually be doing it, they'd be like, what the heck is he doing? It just looks like I'm sitting here, you know, counting the squares on the floor. Good. Okay, right, we're going to change legs, everybody. So again, before we do the usual. Speed it up as if you've just hit fast forward. Side to side, all your way down, and find and identify potential problem areas. So for me, again, I just like to use me as an example, because what better way to do it? I'm finding most of the problems right at the bottom of the butt cheek and kind of mid down the hamstring area, down pretty much where you can see the shorts ends. That's kind of where I'm getting a lot of pain. Not so much down the lower part, but again, this is the bulk of the muscle here. So hopefully you're feeling that, hopefully you're feeling the benefit. We're going to change sides. Okay, we're going to change sides. So I'm just going to sit this way this time so you're getting a different perspective. Okay, so again, where am I working? Just below the butt cheek, working my way down here, and I'm trying to side it, okay? So stay off the butt cheek, okay? We're not working on the glutes. We've worked on the high glutes. So find a start point. Pretty much anywhere for me. There's pain. Right, okay. So I'm sitting here now, you can see from this angle, but again, you can't see it, and it just looks like I'm sitting here chilling out, but I can assure you I'm not. This is uncomfortable. So I can straighten the leg out. Maybe need to move closer to the edge of the bench. Okay. Again on live, there's not really much to see. It's listening to me, finding it, working it, getting all the weight down. Oh. First bit, like I say, is acclimatising to it with pressure. Found your sore spot, get as much weight on there as you can. That's usually enough for most people to begin with. Just weight on that sore spot is hellish. Once you start to accept the pain, if that makes sense, take the pain. Yep, once you start accepting the pain, that's when you can start manipulating things a bit more. Okay, so you're trying to keep that pressure on. So as I'm bringing my leg closer, as I'm straightening it out, try to keep that pressure on there. Okay, I'm not easing off of it. Moving that leg around is going to make it hellish. And again, when you've got the leg fully extended, point the toes up, point them away. Point them up, point them away. And that as well will help move those muscles up and down over that ball. And again, all we're trying to do is just work against the grain of the muscle, trying to crush it. All we're doing here is just crushing it between the bone. Sounds nasty, but you know, it is. Crush the muscle against the bone and against the ball. Okay, breaking it up, grinding up that horrible knot that you're working on right now. Because remember, we're striving for no pain. Shouldn't be pain there, but kind of always will be. Okay, you push your body hard. So again, working around. And again, if you are watching me, it doesn't look like I'm actually moving. That's because I don't have to move far before I find the next one, if I'm completely honest with you. But I would always urge doing it, because you do this with a foam roller, you'll not feel it. You'll feel it, but the foam roller doesn't get in the nooks and crannies that we're getting into on this one, so you can go on the foam roller and you think, oh, my hamstrings are actually all right, I thought they'd be sore. Again, there's no right or wrong. You're holding that spot, you do what you need to do. If it's making it worse, as in better, in this case, if it's getting more pain, if it's, see, even just now, even just me leaning forward, okay, that's another way. Me leaning forward is going to start pulling on my hamstrings, which is going to start helping the process of just smashing it on that ball. Nasty stuff, nasty stuff. 45 minutes of torture, but we love it. Because again, hopefully you're starting to learn more about your body and you are feeling the benefits. If you don't feel the benefits from this, all I can say is you're not doing it right. It's as simple as that, you're not doing it right. It's very easy to lie on the ball, feel pain and think, what's the point in this, okay? Because it's not like you come off and all of a sudden things have changed in your life. But like I said to you, just after spending 5 minutes on each butt cheek earlier on in that last movement, when we come off, you can feel how much power you've restored to the muscle, how tight or how harder you're able to squeeze the glutes. And what we're doing here with all this as well is just restoring that nice sliding surface of the muscles, so there's no restriction, okay? So we're trying to be able to touch our toes. You can't touch your toes, you need to stretch more. You know that by now, it's not a simple case of just stretching. Stretching doesn't cure what we're working on just now, okay? So we're nearly there, everybody. Last minute. So this is where just kind of go for it. Find your worst spot, go for it, get stuck into it, get weight down on there. And again, all I'm ever trying to do is stay relaxed, trying to stay relaxed. Yep, there are going to be moments, spots you hit where your face starts screwing up, but then try as soon as you can to accept the pain and discomfort and relax into it. It's only going to make it more effective, okay? If you're just all tensed up for an hour, 45 minutes, screwing your face up in complete discomfort. That's no good. So again, it's being proactive. It's quite easy just to sit in this ball for 5 minutes and just, you know, have the TV on and not really paying attention to what you're doing. You can have the TV on by all means, but make sure your attention's focusing on this and getting the most out of it. So be proactive, move around on it, make it worse. Okay, the more pain and discomfort you can get, the more you're going to get. Right, I want you to relax there, everybody. Okay, so now simply stand up, do the whole motion of, okay, obviously now my head's cut off, but all I want you to try and do is push your hips back, trying to touch your toes, okay, because that is what I'm trying to do. You can see what I'm doing on the camera anyway. I'm pushing my hips back, trying to maintain a neutral spine, okay, without that happening. You should, okay, doesn't mean to say you can, you should be able to touch your toes while keeping that nice neutral spine, okay, and the legs fairly straight. Using these muscle groups to do so by pushing the hips back, lengthening out the hamstrings, glutes and lower back. Now the areas you've just worked on, you should feel that. You should feel those areas you've just worked on. And again, you should start to feel like things are flowing and you've unlocked range. And we've not even done a stretch yet, okay? So again, this is where all this works hand in hand. It's not enough just to do flexibility work. If all those muscles aren't sliding freely and they're all jammed up in different areas, they ain't going to flow. It doesn't matter how flexible they are, they're just going to jam up in those key areas. So hopefully you're feeling that. Okay, the final one we're going to do is a stretch, and it's going to be the classic hamstring stretch. So grab your rubber band, let's get shown the roll. Classic hamstring stretch now. So now we're doing the flexibility side of things. Now that we've worked on breaking up all that tissue, get your band or towel. If it's a towel, so be it, but it's better if you've got a band. Hook it around the ball of your foot. We want to be able to pull it without it slipping off the toes. Keep the other leg, so my left leg in this instance, completely relaxed on the ground with the knee locked out. I want you to reach up, grab the band and grab as much band as you can, because I want to feel it straight away, pulling the whole leg, the femur getting pushed into the hip. Then I'm simply going back, okay? I'm going back, and I want you to make sure if you're using a band that you've got a lot of tension on that band, okay? You're not just kind of half-arsed. You're pulling this band down and you're feeling those hamstrings getting lengthened out here. Now, good hamstring mobility, you're talking roughly, you know, about here onwards. 90 degrees, fantastic. That's what we're striving for, 90 degrees and more with a straight leg. So make sure your knee is completely locked out here. You with me? Good. If we've got our knee soft, our hamstrings have shortened. We don't want them short, we want them lengthened. So I'm moving my leg back, back, back until I feel I can't go back any further. So if you're able to get your hamstrings from about here onwards, you've got good hamstring, you've got very good hamstring mobility. Okay, if you're away down here, you've got work to do. So that's where a lot of people, oh, I've got tight hamstrings, when in actual fact, they don't really, okay? They've already got decent flexibility in their hamstrings, it's just everything else. So this is pretty simple. It's where flexibility work. I take it to the point I feel I can't go any further, it feels like I'm about to snap the muscles. And for the next couple of minutes, I'm just going to try and take it a wee bit further and a wee bit further, okay? So please, if you want to get better, you have to push yourself out your comfort zone on this. And chances are, I guarantee you could probably take it a wee bit further than you're holding it right now, so do that, go for it. Pretty uncomfortable, this one. Now, what have we worked on this morning? Posterior chain, lower back, glutes, hamstrings. Those big, powerful engine muscles that should be driving the kettlebell swings, that should be driving your deadlifts, that should be able to work through a full range of movement. So if you find that your kettlebell swings, for example, and I'm only saying kettlebell swings because that's what we've been working on a lot on the live classes, so if you don't, then obviously it makes no much sense to you, but you should be able to push your hips back, lengthening out your hamstrings, glutes and lower back, and then snap them forward and lock the hips fully out, okay? So what we've done today is to aid that, but ultimately the movement pattern that we're addressing is being able to touch your toes. So if you struggle to touch your toes with keeping a straight, nice neutral spine, we've helped unlock all that tissue that's responsible for that movement, okay? So there's a lot going on. And remember, but I've not worked my lower back. Yes, you have, okay? We worked on the high glute just below the lower back, and by working on that area, freeing up some slack, that's going to feed into the lower back and down into the glutes without actually working on the lower back itself. So of course we could have sat and foam rolled the lower back. We could then have done the high glutes, the hamstrings, we could have done it all. But then that's us talking about, you know, an hour and a half worth of mobility. So if you feel that your lower back is the problem area, as in there's a lot of tightness in there, remember, yep, it probably is the lower back that's tight, but then do up, downwards and side of it as well. Because it's not enough just to work on one problem area. Good, and then I'm going to change legs, everybody. So again, the beauty of it is, if you've got the time, do more after this, okay? I've showed you this morning, if you think, you know what, I've got another 3 hours, or you've got another free bit of time, crack on with this. You don't need to stop because I'm stopping, okay? So go back to the hamstrings. If you thought, God, there was a lot of work to be done there, go back to them. So I've changed legs, make sure that knee's locked out, make sure that band's pulling my relaxed leg down. Take it back to that point where it's feeling pretty uncomfortable. Getting my new fridge delivered between 9 and 1, and I was putting my bets on it was going to arrive halfway through this live class. So far, so good. I actually meant to tell you at the start in case I had to go. How exciting, eh? It's when you know you're getting old. Get excited by a fridge arriving, eh? Anyway. So, to summarise, posterior chain, done, okay? Hamstrings, glutes, lower back. Posterior chain refers to all the muscles up the back of your body, so obviously we've got more than just that, but these are the big engine muscles. These are the driving force behind all those big powerful movements that we do. And we need them working properly, okay? For many sake. To prevent injury, to make sure we're not overcompensating, to make sure we've got good posture when we're just doing our day-to-day life, but also when we've got good form when we're lifting or exercising. So again, remember what we've done, bookmark where you got to on those different areas and complete it in your own time. This morning is a target mobility class, so we're working on a system, an area, okay, or a movement pattern. Doesn't mean to say you have to spend 45 minutes. If your glutes are feeling like they need some work, 2 minutes on each side, once a day, boom. Couple of days, a bit more than a couple of days, you're going to start feeling a big improvement, okay? You're going to find you're able to get on that ball and there's not as much pain. You're getting a lot more supple. Relax there, everybody. Job done, well done. Not much more to say, to be honest with you. So on that note, I'm not going to say anything because this is a bit, again, when I go to edit it, I realise, top piffle. Right, job done. Posterior chain, hamstrings, glutes, lower back. Hopefully you're starting to understand that system. You're starting to understand what it's responsible for. And again, it kind of ties in well with what we're doing on the live classes. We're kettlebell swings predominantly, you know, hips back. What's that? Okay, I'm pushing my hips back, therefore I'm lengthening out my hamstrings, glutes, lower back. If you find you go back and you're just forced into a weird position because these have reached the limit, okay, that's probably why. They need a good bit of work. We need to keep on top of them. It's not enough to say, oh, that's me done them now. You're using these muscles day in, day out. You're putting a lot of strain on them. We need to make sure we're doing the rehab work and getting all that goodness fed back into them because they do a hell of a lot. And like I said, the easiest test is when we do our glutes and after we've done them, even 2 minutes on each side, you can feel how harder you can squeeze your glutes. That alone, you know, is enough for me, to be honest with you. So unlock your true potential. Do some foam rolling. Do some flexibility work. And then exercise even harder than all those crazy people out there that's just going deteriorate, then moaning that they're sore, but then they just keep doing it anyway. Anyway, maybe one day we'll reach out to them. Have a good day. Thank you very much.